Hi, good morning. It's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. It is Thursday, around about 9:30 in the morning here in the United Kingdom. And, I've just switched on the news and I've saw this. I found it quite alarming because when you hear, a president of any country say that he wants to piss off the unvaccinated, that's pretty shocking, because what really he's saying is he has no respect whatsoever for anybody's democracy in that country, along with their freedoms that they're entitled to. And, like I say, for him to say he just wants to piss them off is a demonstration of how much he values democracy. This is the world we're living in. And I've talked about the gauntlet many times, and all these obstacles on the gauntlet are exactly what we are seeing now build up momentum. We've hit one of them, and now we're just going to cascade into all the rest. We are looking at a trail of destruction from this point on out. I hope you realise that. It isn't just what climate is going to throw at us. It isn't just what the magnetic reversal is going to throw at us, or the grand solar minimum, or the approaching glacial period. It's every part of our way and life is all going to go by the side, and we're going to witness it. So get comfortable in your armchair for what you're about to witness over the coming months and years. Let's go over to see what's happening in Kazakhstan right now, because they've just lost continuity of government, and this is just one of those countries that we're going to see a lot more of. What I can only describe is happening in Kazakhstan now is a repeat of what happened in the Ukraine. They've had to ask neighbouring countries, for assistance to control what they are describing as domestic terrorists. Let's have a little look at what's going on. So you can see there's loads of protesters, not domestic terrorists, and the reason why they're not domestic terrorists is because these are the people that live in Kazakhstan, and they've had enough of increasing LPG prices, liquid gas prices, always ever increasing, just like the rest of Europe complaining about it, and America and Canada. It seems that the world is going through a point in time where all the energy providers have decided it's time to fleece anyone that needs electricity. And at the same time they're saying we've got to reduce the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere, so they're deactivating and decommissioning some of these coal power plants that would produce the electricity. And prices are going through the roof, because now they've got to invest more so in nuclear power than they ever have done to keep the demands going for the people. But Kazakhstan have just had enough, and the government have resigned, and the army went onto the streets, I believe early hours this morning, and shot and killed 5 people. So they're almost at civil war level crisis. We're going to see a lot more European countries go through this, and things are going to continue to get worse. One thing we're starting to see around the world is these medical staff being forced to have a vaccine. And another thing Macron came out with within the last 24 hours was he said that doctors that were showing, and medical staff across the range, that were showing even light symptoms of COVID and had tested positive could return to work. So 1 minute, these governments around the world tell us to isolate for 10 days, then it was 7 days, and now they're saying don't isolate, get back to work. Amazing, isn't it? And another popular story, which is regularly getting covered by the mainstream now, as well as social media sites like this, is the rising cost of food. So the rising cost of food, the rising cost of electricity, the rising price of gas. We've got then the cutback on democracy, and then we got the infringements of freedoms of expression, freedoms of rights, basic human rights, basic human freedoms, all being infringed. And it's not related to one country, it's a global situation that these people in power are failing to understand that the people are getting tired about it, and that's why we're seeing riots in many of the countries that are not being televised. And the reason why that is because they don't want to encourage more people to take to the streets and become angry. And I'll tell you why all this is happening. If you go to the root source of this, it is a few people that are very rich and powerful that are causing misery for millions around the world because of their greed. Simple as that. And people need to start to work together. And it is a global problem, but in each country people can deal with this. And once it's eradicated, we can all get back to a normal life. But until then, things are going to continue to get worse and worse. Guys, we all have a common enemy. What we're seeing right now from these rich and elite people is nothing but Nazi behaviour. They are stamping on our democracy and our freedoms. And they are calling us domestic terrorists. And they are accusing people of freedom of speech and those that express it as domestic terrorists. You know, this was last witnessed in the 1930s. And it's back. We thought we'd eradicated this behaviour, but it's back, and it's caused by the same people with the same mentality as what was going around Nazi Germany back in the 1930s. You know, this is all our freedoms on the line here. This is all our democracies on the line here. And you have a right to decide if you want to be vaccinated or not. But what we see is people like Macron say, I want to piss off all those unvaccinated people. What he's saying is, I don't like the fact that these people have a right to decide whether they want a vaccine or not. And the bottom line is, he doesn't want you to have a democracy and the freedom to choose. And when they start forcing it on you, that is nothing short of assault. And we're seeing it now in place. They failed to contain this human created virus. It's now out of Wuhan. And you know what? It could have happened in any state or any country around the world. We've all got these facilities, so regardless of where it came from is not the point. The point is this, is that human beings can't be trusted. Full stop. Because when you mess with fire, don't be surprised your hands will get burned. It was a wonder they never incinerated the atmosphere during, I think it was the 1950s, or even before then, when they was conducting tests involved in the Manhattan Project. This was the building of the first atomic bomb. The scientists then didn't know whether they would ignite the entire atmosphere of our planet, yet then tests went ahead. You know, what they've done with these biological war facilities, you know, where this virology takes place, is nothing any different. They are creating, you know, viruses that can wipe out nations of people. Millions of people have died as a result of human meddling. Millions of people needlessly have died. And although I do like Trump, do you know he gave the go-ahead for the practice of gain of function in these virology departments to continue, where, okay, the Barack Obama administration had put a stop to it. He gave the go-ahead for it. And we all know that there have been multiple countries funding that vicinity in Wuhan where it broke out. But the point is this, is that we are not adult enough yet to be messing about with such things, and this just proves it. This is probably the biggest man-made catastrophe ever announced. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because if we continue what happens and watching what happens and takes place in 2022, this will look like a needle in a haystack with comparison to what we're about to see. You know, we are being led by the less likely people that should be leading us. And it should make you all angry that your democracies are being crushed and your freedoms are being crushed all around the world. It should make you angry. And I keep saying this, stop being passive about this. Do something about it. If you have children and you do nothing about it, then you shouldn't have had the children in the first place. If you're prepared to watch your freedoms be chopped away and your democracy crushed, then you do not deserve children, because the world you are leaving for them will not be anything what you have been accustomed to growing up with. This is disgusting. And this is probably what's coming to a neighbourhood near to you somewhere else in the world, because this is what's on the plans for the UK with regards to wood burning stoves. I just want to ask this question. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. If you cannot afford gas to heat your home, and you can't afford to pay electricity bills, and you've got a wood burner, it is going to be a criminal offence to use it. How is a human being supposed to keep themselves warm and fed? This is what we're going to see around the world. They're saying that this is choking up the UK airspace and one of the biggest causes of pollution. What they're doing is driving the sheep through the fence, through the gate in the fence. They're pushing them down into the corner of the field and leaving them no other option but to walk through that gate. They want to make sure you are buying gas and electric from their partners and friends, their rich elite, and they don't want you heating your home with your own wood that you've grown on your own property. And if you are caught doing it, it will be a criminal offence. This is BS. There are already people here in the UK and everywhere else around the world that are suffering from fuel poverty, and this is probably their only means of heating their home. I'm talking about the people that suffer fuel poverty are disabled, elderly, and poor children in poor families. It's as simple as that. And they want to outlaw it. And these are the freedoms that you are having snipped away rapidly. Remember what they said. By the time 2030 comes, you will be dizzy and dazed by all the changes that have taken place. And this is what the rats are doing beneath the decks. Criminalising now the burning of wood stoves. Something that we have done since the dawn of man arriving on this planet. And in 2022, it is now outlawed. There's a lot of people that think that they can grow their own food in their back gardens, and okay, carry on doing that. But if the climate shifts like it has done for a lot of commercial farmers, and it's no longer viable to grow certain crops because the temperatures just don't sustain them, then what are you going to do? These cities that we live in right now, I can see there being shortly mass exoduses from them because people just simply won't be able to afford to live in them. We're moving back into the old days. We're not seem to be progressing into the future. What things are happening right now, people shouldn't have to grow their own food and be dependent on their own gardens in the back garden and be dependent on producing their own fuels so that they can keep warm and cook food on. We are moving back into the dark ages. I'm just really worried of where all this is leading. And if it's not nipped in the bud now, I can see people being put back in those gas chambers just like in the 1940s, because the rest of the mentality is present and rife again. And there is a lack of respect for what the elderly people that are still alive, and they're few and far between, that experienced what happened in 1942 during the last Second World War, because they would immediately tell you that all these things that are taking place now were the same that took place before the Second World War. We're living in real dark times. Democracy barely exists anymore, and human rights along with it. You know it as well as I know it, that energy prices have gone up, fuel at the pumps has gone up, gas prices has gone up, food has gone up. All those things that we need to survive have been targeted here. And then along with that, democracy is shrinking, and so have our freedoms. So by 2030, most car manufacturers around the world will only produce electric cars. You can see here, Jaguar in the UK, big car manufacturer, plans to sell only electric cars from 2025. Volvo will follow suit from 2030, along with Lotus and a lot of other car manufacturers. So they are forcing us to walk through that gate again and buy an electric car. But here's the thing that they've not thought about. We can't produce enough electricity in the United Kingdom alone, let alone any other country, to keep up with the demands without all these electric cars on the road. The other problem is as someone pointed out in the comments section, if we replaced all the cars in the UK with electric cars, there'd be no cobalt left in the world to manufacture anyone else's cars. So what they're telling us is that a lot of us are not even going to be allowed to drive a car in the future. The other thing is how they can cope with the demands in another 5 years when more of these electric cars turn up on our roads. They can't cope with the demand right now, and I'm sure that the amount of electric cars that we have on the roads now is putting such a demand on the electricity grid that it is going to be failing at some point. They don't know whether to build more nuclear plants, whether there's anyone prepared to step forward and put the bill for those. We know what the problems are with, these nuclear power plants when they have to be decommissioned, and we know that they pose greater risks than other forms of producing electricity. But what have we got? We've got a push for solar panels and wind generators, and here in the UK we have a reasonable winter where these things won't be usable because of ice on the blades won't allow the turbines to turn, otherwise they'll snap. If you heat the blades up, then you're counteracting what you're trying to do in the first place, because the amount of energy to heat the blades back up will mean that the efficiency and the electricity being produced by that wind turbine will drop to the point where it's hardly worth it. If you look at the costs and materials involved in manufacturing these wind turbines, they're a waste of time. They pose greater pollution risks on the environment. And then we've got the problems with solar panels. Solar panels don't work when they've got ice on them. I woke up this morning looking at my neighbour's house down the road. All his solar panels were white, so I guarantee they weren't working or producing any electricity. Not only that, the material that they're made out of, silicate, is not a common element in our world, just like cobalt and lithium. So they're planning to send us down roads which is impossible to achieve. And all they're going to do is destroy what we have right now as a result of it. And it's because of the contracts that are going around the rich and the elite. It's the rich and the elite all the time that are causing the problems for the 99% of the people on this planet. And to prove that, there's a two-tier system evolving where they're getting away with breaking laws and they're allowed to. And they're changing legislation so that they can, abuse, their authority that they've self-proclaimed, given themselves. This is the world which we're merging into. And right now I know it isn't a lot of encouragement for just a few things that we've mentioned in this video to get some people off their arse and do something about it. But I guarantee you, when there's a knock on the door and you've broken some rule, or you've give up your combustion engine car, or you've been burning some wood on your wood stove just to make ends meet because you can't keep up with the pace and the cost of living, then it'll be too late for you to act. These were the things I've been warning you about for years on this channel. I described it as the gauntlet of obstacles, and now you clearly see what I'm talking about, don't you? Yes, we face the problems that we've created as human beings ourselves, and then on top of that, we've got the problems that we're going to face through going back through another glacial period. And we're putting all our eggs in the wrong basket. Not one country around the world has prepared for the return of a glacial period, yet it is coming. And it's the proof. And if you look to where 0 is on this chart, you will see that we have enjoyed the very last bit of an interglacial period. And this isn't something new, because if you go back 125,000 years, 240,000 years, 325,000 years, and then just a little over 400,000 years, so you'll see that we've gone through these many times, these glacial and interglacial periods. And at the end of an interglacial period, we go back into a glacial period. That is a fact. And when we do, CO2 drops. So why in the world of common sense would anyone think otherwise, when we have the historical records of what happens to CO2 during a glacial period and what happens to it during an interglacial period? Why would anyone try and raise such large quantities of money knowing that there is nothing that they can do about it physically as human beings? Nature, as you see, does a great job of taking care of her own business, and we got no business interfering with that. And we have just witnessed with this COVID outbreak what happens when we meddle with things we have no rights in doing. It's the same across all the range in science. You know, I've seen it so many times. I could mention some companies, but you know who they are. They're the ones that are responsible for manufacturing GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Yeah? Crops. Let me tell you something. You know what the most successful crops are? The ones that are natural, that have been around, evolving over hundreds of thousands of years on this planet. They're the ones that stood the test of times. They're the ones that have gone through these interglacial and glacial periods alongside with us in the few thousand years that we've been on this planet. Genetically modified crops fail because they're either designed for drought conditions, flood conditions, colder temperature conditions, or warmer temperature conditions. And with the fluctuating climate like we have right now, they can't cope. And that's why we are seeing tens of thousands of Indian farmers, Pakistani farmers kill themselves because they've lost everything. It's because human beings are meddling in things they shouldn't be meddling in the first place. How many times have we got to prove it to ourselves that we should leave nature alone? Don't mess with viruses. Leave nature to scrub the CO2 naturally out of the environment or the atmosphere. Stop building atomic weapons. Stop killing other human beings. When are we going to learn? How many times do we have to burn our fingers in that fire? You know, the next few words are not going to make any sense, and they're not going to be falling on people. I believe that really want to do anything, because what I've seen so far at the beginning of this year with levels of support for this observatory have shown me clearly that people are going out for themselves. I just want to say, before I mention the link, that if each and every one of your organisms went out for itself, your body would be dead in hours, if not minutes. And that should show you how much we all need to work together. We are facing common issues. We should work together. If you want to help support what we do on this observatory, there's a link down there in the description. I'll say what I usually do. Take care of your loved ones. As always, bye for now.